Yes, guys. Welcome back to an all-new episode of the Bootcast podcast. I'm your host, Colby. This is my fellow co-host, Justin.
Hello.
And, I'm doing the intro today because Justin freaking threw his voice out at a soccer game.
I threw my voice out. I've been a little bit sick, so this is rough. But I'm here for you guys because I love you, and I love Colby and talking to Colby.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we're glad you're here. He may have to go off to the side to cough. Oh, thought that was one coming.
No, I was just clearing my throat that time.
Okay. But yeah, as I've seen firsthand, Justin, you're a very vocal player when you're playing. You're talking a lot.
Yeah. I like to. My buddies like to make fun of me because they're like, "Oh, you just get frantically screaming," and I'm like, "It's because I know what I'm seeing."
Yeah.
Because I'm so far back. I'm like, just listen. But they always rip on me.
Right. Yeah. You are helpful with man on or having me go up or come back. Yeah. I miss playing with you, dude. We need to go back to our old indoor team
You
sometime.
can come out whenever you want. Whenever you're ready to join an outdoor
Whenever I'm ready
team,
to drive.
Yeah. You come join up.
You know how much I love driving.
I do. You love it.
Anyways, man. Now I'm coughing.
Sorry.
So what's been going on? What are you wearing this week?
Okay, so per usual, I've been wearing the Roteros. I have started to notice a little bit of minor. I don't know if how well we're getting that, but right here, so below the stud, a little bit of sole separation there. Other than that, Roteros are still great. Still absolutely love them. And then as a gift, I got a pair of boots back from a friend I gave them to, and I got a pair of Magista 1s back. This was in one of those weird, only this colorway came out. It's dark green and black and orange. And okay, so I've got to come clean because I've been ragging on this boot for 10 years now. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this boot's been out for 10 years. And I'm like, Magista 1 just it doesn't fit. It's not a very good boot. It's really sloppy. And I'm a size 8 US. And until I just got these back the other day, I found out they were a 9 US this whole time. So I've been tearing apart and shitting on a boot that was literally the wrong size. And so I got nobody to blame but myself. I don't know how I didn't even notice that. Maybe I just saw the box and was like, oh yeah, it's perfect. But I got those back. So maybe I'll give them away or sell them or do something. But it's cool to see them again.
Give them to your buddy who's a size 9.5. See if he fits into
he
the
hates
boots.
everything and everyone. So I'm not giving him anything.
Oh shit. Okay.
What are you wearing, Colby? Because you've been on a fantastic journey of not listening yet again. So tell people what you've been buying and not wearing because they're terrible and you haven't been listening.
Dude, I finally got the Puma Kings.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's the new Puma King, right?
Yeah.
Does it have a name?
I think it's the Puma Future Ultimate.
Puma King Ultimate.
Sorry, Puma King Ultimate version 2, or I think they call it the 2024, but I think they made Kings in 2024 for the old models. I don't know how Puma wants to label it, but Gen 2. Let's just call it Gen 2. Yeah, dude, this is a weird fit. It was weird. You know how the Predators of this generation they fit your foot really well, and it just kind of anatomically really sits on your foot. This is the opposite of that, where I put it on and I was like, huh, and I don't think you ever really want a huh, but there's quite a bit of volume. I did go a half size up, but my toe's still pretty close to the end.
So you have a 10 in those?
Yeah, these are 10.
Okay.
And I think Noah and James both went true to size, but Jay Mike recommended half size down, half size up, so that's what I did.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, the fit's weird.
If you got a 9.5, do you think they would fit better?
No. I think the fit's right for me. And how I like to wear my boots. But I will say, dude, it's not cheap. I don't want to say this is a cheap boot, but it's not going to be as high quality as a Predator, an F50, or a Vapor. It's just very much
it's not a premium boot.
No, it's not a premium boot. It's definitely, so it's in the $225. I think it's $225 or $220, and it should probably be $200 or below, in my opinion. And that's $200 would be the top, because everything from the way the laces are to the knit, it's really comfy material. Or not, shouldn't say comfy, but it's soft.
Okay.
And in the bottom of the boot, I was getting stud pressure. On these two studs here, I could feel that. It was more. It seemed. What's weird is in the first Gen 1 King, it felt, I guess, a little bit more like, I don't want to say good. It felt more stiff, I guess. Like it felt more
rigid.
stiff, more rigid. And this just feels a lot more flexible, but it's the same Soleplate, so I don't know what's up.
Yeah, it could be the plastics.
It could be
softer plastic.
It could be. But the main thing is like, look, with the Puma King Ultimate version 1, the only issue I had with it was maybe like the last was a bit too narrow and the heel. Like the heel depth sucked. Like that's pretty much what broke the boot, was the heel depth sucked. And so all Puma had to do was do like a little bit of what New Balance did with the Tequila and the Furon, and just kind of change minor things. Like make it essentially the same boot, but change minor things. Make the heel a little bit better. Make the heel like this. But what they did is like they shifted the laces. They added like grip elements to the medial side. They made it beefier, and it's like, well, the heel's great, but everything else is like, like I just asked you to change. We just asked you to change one thing, Puma, and you didn't need all that.
Yeah, that's kind of. I've noticed that, especially with the King line, that kind of tends to be a reoccurring pattern. Like, do you remember when they first brought the King back? I think it was the Platinum. It was what it was called.
Oh,
and it was like super butter soft leather. Mm-hmm. Everybody loved that boot.
Yes.
And they're like, all it needs is like a little bit of structure to the upper. Like that's all it needs. Mm-hmm. And Puma was like, okay, we hear you,
guys.
We're gonna restructure the upper. And they just totally overdid it again. And then the 21 came out, and everybody's like, this is dog shit. Like, this is a terrible boot. So then Puma's like, okay, we're gonna reset everything. We're gonna make it synthetic. Try this, okay, better. And everybody's like, okay, this is good, but again, you need it. Like, same for me. I thought the boot was. It kind of had the same issue the Predator Freak did, where the midfoot is so narrow that it makes the forefoot like bow out. Mm-hmm. So then the forefoot feels kind of too big and sloppy, and the midfoot was super tight, and then the heel feels like shallow, like it came too low,
like
so
it's
then
gonna pop out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like your foot was just gonna slip out, almost like I don't know what shoe to compare, like a Tom, like some Toms or something like that. You know what I mean? And so then it was like, okay, just padding the heel a little bit, raise the depth, maybe widen it just a hair, and we're golden. And Puma was like, okay, we got it. We're gonna pad the heel, and then we're gonna thicken everything else up too. It's like, no.
Yeah.
It's like a bad dog. You're just like, no, dude.
And what's weird too is that version 1, the quality seemed a lot higher. Like the K better like material was thinner, and the knit was a lot better. And like whenever you put the boot on, like the knit would kind of spread, so it got even thinner, and like you had a really nice like closest on the ball. And even though like the last was pretty narrow, like you still had like a really nice touch on the ball. Like with these, it was like I just felt really clunky. Like I don't know how else to explain it. It felt really clunky, and the fit was really weird. It wasn't like the best fit I've had all year. Like a good fitting like anatomical boot is the Predators. That's like gold standard. These would be like if I was going to like a fit would be like going to Academy and taking like a third tier takedown. It was very surprising at how awkward it felt.
It sounds like they're selling something non-premium at a premium price. And that's where, like I'm sure if that boot was $75, you'd probably be like, dude, this is great bang for your buck. It's awesome. But yeah, like you said, $220 full price? No way. And this is another version that's going to sit on the shelves. It's going to get discounted to probably $75, and then somebody will be like, yeah, I'll have it as a spare backup. And I think the boots deserve more than that.
I wouldn't even keep. I know it sucks. I wouldn't even keep this as a spare, man. Like I just don't like the boots. Like I'll be straight up.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind having a version 1 as a backup, but I wouldn't have these as a backup.
That's a bummer.
That's how much I'm not a fan. So they're getting returned for sure.
I knew you were really kind of excited for those, and I'm sorry that you didn't like them. Yet again, you got excited about something that you didn't like.
Yeah. I keep stepping on rakes, man. I don't know what's happening.
Dude,
and you're like, Colby, hey, there's a rake there. And I'm like, oh, don't worry, Justin, I got it. And then bam, right in the face.
Well, I want to know something that you are actually excited about. And I want to know what jersey you are excited about to talk about today, man.
Dude, I pulled this one out of my closet because I was saving this one for a pod where I didn't prepare. I didn't prepare for this pod, like for another team. So I'm going to go Liverpool. Dude, this is our freaking 18-19 Champions League.
Oh, that's
jersey,
when you went Champions League in?
Yes.
Bobby.
And, Bobby, dude.
That's
and what's
perfect
nuts,
teeth, Bobby.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What's nuts is I got this before the season started, and I bought like specifically the Champions League version. So I got like the nice like Champions League patch there.
Yeah.
Not knowing. I think I was just excited, but I didn't think we'd go back and win it. Like, especially during that first leg of the Barcelona game, I was like, oh, dude, we're out. There's no way we're out.
Pass and the Origi, is that season?
Yeah, that was the second leg. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That was crazy.
Yeah.
That's a good jersey. I mean, it's kind of like the same issue with United jerseys. It's like you can only do a red shirt, like so. You know what I mean? Like you can only do so much. But yeah, it's a clean jersey, and it's got like special sentimental value to you. So I like that.
Yeah. Speaking of Liverpool and their jerseys, I am happy that we're switching over to Adidas next season because I saw something on Footy Headlines that Nike was going to start raising prices again for their jerseys, which are already, in my opinion, astronomical, especially for the player version. I'm like,
yeah, dude.
The player versions that don't fit anybody.
I don't remember them being this expensive. But I never buy player versions. I always buy replicas.
Yeah. Well, that was the nice thing about New Balance was like you just got one, you know?
Yeah.
Here's the jersey.
Yeah. No, it's wild. I did see that this morning too. My jersey of choice is the 2012 Euro Portugal away jersey. The white one with the big cross on it and half of it's green and half of it's red, or green and red. Oh, love that jersey.
Oh, yeah, that one is really good. Didn't they have something similar for the 2010 World Cup? Now I got to look that one up.
2010 World Cup. Let me think.
Or
is that the 2010 World Cup that I'm thinking of?
Well, no, they both. Okay, no, the 2010 was like the stripe down the middle, and like I remember Ronaldo in this.
That's the green one and the red one. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah,
too.
The cross looks cooler though. You're right. The Euro one looks definitely cooler.
There was cool, and then later on, I think it was 2013. I think it was the qualifiers for the World Cup. They took that same jersey, but they did it black with a gray on like a silver on dark gray cross.
Yeah,
and that's also like it's the same kit, but it was phenomenal.
Portugal always has fire jerseys. Like the away jersey that Ronaldo scored his 900th in just like last week.
Yeah, the blue one from the World Cup. I also have one. The problem with their jersey colors though is I have one. I'll bring it on next podcast. But it's black and it's got like a distressed red stripe and a distressed green stripe. And everybody always calls it my Burger King shirt because they say it looks just like that. So it always makes me laugh thinking about
that's kind of like Liverpool get their like that red yellow and it kind of looks like McDonald's. It always looks like McDonald's to me. I know yellow is like significant for Liverpool, but I'm like I can't do the red yellow. I can't do it.
I'm with you. I like when they don't have. I like when they just do like red and white. Or when what year was it? It was like a year or two ago where they had like that tealish green accent. That was a good one too. I like that one.
Yeah, dude. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Adidas does. Like I really am. Dude. Speaking of Portugal and Ronaldo and his 900th goal, is he going to be in the World Cup? 41 years old, almost 42 years old.
Probably should not be, unless. If he's like, hey, like if he's like the coach is like everybody's like, hey, you're gonna come on last 10, 15 minutes. That's it. All right, I'll sign off on it. But other than that brother don't need to be anywhere near it.
Yeah,
he's old, and it's okay. Like it's okay to be old and washed and ride off into the sunset. Like you know what I mean? Like honestly, both him and Messi right now are pretty much like 1 foot in retirement already with where they're both playing.
Messi's definitely 1 foot in retirement.
Yeah. Did you see? I don't know if this is true, but I read earlier that Miami just signed Iniesta.
Dude, I saw that too, and I wasn't sure if that was a joke, but that man is 40. Hey, and I'm not saying he can't ball, because like from what I've seen of Suarez, who I thought had bad knees, like he's even scoring in the MLS, so it can be done.
Levels. But, I'm like, okay, we're just making Barcelona again.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't think Ronaldo should really be there, but if he is, it's got to be like, hey, bro, you might not even play. You might be like stoppage time.
Right. You know what the Inter Miami reminds me of is those, I can't remember what the movies are called, but where they get like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone and Bruce, the Expendables. Like, they're basically getting all these old guys out of retirement. And
bro.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, Inter Miami, you're the Expendables of the MLS. Congratulations.
I don't know if that's like good. You know what I mean? It's like the Golden Girls team. It's like, ooh,
right. I mean, that's got to feel cool though. Like if I was a
Does
if
it?
I was if I
Does
was
it
my
feel cool?
if I was my age or younger and I got to play with if I was a Miami player and I got to play with Messi, Busquets, Iniesta, like Suarez, I would be in heaven, dude. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. The way I just look at it is it's like if okay, let's say for example, like right now. Like let's say you could go back right now and play with your old high school soccer team and y'all could go play against other high school soccer teams. Would you really want to do like your current age and your buddies are still their current age, but you're gonna go back to like whatever high school you went to, and you'll be their team, and you're gonna play against other high school teams? Like, does that sound that fun? It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. It's like
that is true.
Man. That's kind of how I look at it. It's like those guys that like graduate, but they still wear their Letterman jacket. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that guy that never left high school.
Yeah, exactly. You peaked. You peaked. And it's like,
peaked.
it's cool. You won everything. I get it. I get why you want to get the band back together, but it's like, let it go, man.
Yeah, I think there's a problem. I mean, this is a Boots podcast, but I think that there's a problem with athletes in general, like having a difficult time letting go and moving on. And we see this with LeBron James, who's bringing his son in. You see it with Tom Brady. You see it with Aaron Rodgers. You see it with Kirk Cousins. You see it with all the guys on Miami, Ronaldo. The only guy like who's a freaking tank who somehow doesn't break down is James Milner, who like was playing forever. But I don't know. That guy could run into anybody and he never got hurt. I still don't understand that. But
and it's like I get it too to an extent because it's like this is their life. This is all they know. Like you know what I mean. They've done this longer than they haven't done it. But you gotta call it a day eventually.
You know who kind of perfected like leaving and going on and did like some amazing entrepreneurship was Bex. And like he is still, I think, maybe not as relevant as he was as a player, but he's still a really relevant person.
Exactly.
Yeah, I actually just watched dude, because you got me addicted to the overlap. And
you're welcome.
I went back and I watched the Beckham one, and that one was really good. They were joking about like, dude, you're gonna pick up your United pension because like I hear you're struggling. You know, that was pretty funny.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's good. Yeah, but I agree. Like that's kind of what you hope they do. Like I don't even care about people like Rio, Roy, some of those guys who Jamie Carragher who like go into punditry. Like if that's your calling, like that's totally cool. I get it, but it's just like you gotta know. What's Jamie Carragher say? Leave the football before it leaves you.
Yeah,
it's like a lot of these guys. I'm like, yo, you need to take that to heart.
Yeah, it is kind of funny when somebody retires a little bit early. Like, I think Beckham's youngest son just retired at like 22, and they're like, leave the football before it leaves you, bro. Like, but hey, whatever. It's not for everybody,
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, anyways, moving on. That's our rant about pros needing to retire.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, I said my jersey. Okay, continue.
Okay, so anyways, moving on. I was going to segue this earlier, but we were talking about the Kings and how quality isn't exactly matching up to price, right? And earlier this week, the Predator, made in Germany, third colorway, the black red, is officially out, right? We saw J-Mac's review, and I know you had some thoughts on this.
Yes. Okay, for starters, did you know, because this came up in the group chat, did you know that made in Germany just meant assembled in Germany? And I want you to be honest. Did you know this?
No, dude, because if I'm thinking of like made in Germany and I'm thinking, historically Copa Mundial, I'm thinking that whole thing is just like set. I mean, obviously like the K leather's imported, right?
Yeah.
But everything else is like assembled in Germany, like not handcrafted, they're not freaking Mizuno, but like still like probably like a high quality level boot assembled or not assembled in Germany, but like, basically crafted there.
Yeah. See, I was under the impression that made in Germany meant like they got the leather materials, whatever, and it was like handmade. Like somebody's sitting at a desk or whatever, and they're stitching together these made in Germany pairs. I didn't realize that the boot comes like already stitched and done, and then the sole plate comes separate, and they just put glue, and they're like, all right, it's made in Germany.
Heck yeah, bro. That's the IKEA model.
Like, oh, God. But like to me, I'm like, that's so scummy in a way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm trying to put it really nicely, but like, I don't like, that's false advertisement, but like it is because I feel like if you're paying this premium on some boots that are like, the whole thing is made in Germany, then like everything should be there essentially. And now I've even started questioning if the Copa Mundial is actually made in Germany, or is it just assembled in Germany?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird, man. And I think it just goes to show you that I've seen, and maybe since like 2019, 2020, a dip in quality and an increase in price. I don't know if you feel that way too, because there's some boots that are legitimately very good. We can talk about like the Rotero, we can talk about like the Messis, and I'm not talking about like Mizuno, because their quality is always super high. Asics is always super high. Like our friend Andrew, like Adler, I haven't tested those, but I'm sure those are super high quality. But like the big brands, I think are getting away with sub quality products with higher prices. Yes. And I have like a boot coming tomorrow that I'll talk about probably on the next podcast that you were able to find me, that was made in 2019, and I think the quality of it is really good compared to what the model is now.
Yeah.
And it sucks, dude, because like you're not fooling us. Like you're not fooling boot heads, especially. Like we know what quality should be, especially for the price. Like if we're paying for like a remake prices, then we want to see something like what you have in like your 2020 Absolutes, like something like that.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like I have the Red Manias that came out in 2019-ish, and I guarantee you, if you took those or you took the original blue, Japan blue, remember the first time they came out with the split sole, the 2020?
Yep.
I guarantee you if you took those two and compared them to all three colorways of the Made in Germany, you would throw the Made in Germany's out the window. But the Made in Germany's, I think, cost more than those ones did, or the same.
Which is mind blowing. Yeah, and it's like you're not fooling anybody. I was really excited and hyped for the Made in Germany's, even after I found out that they were calfskin. I was like, oh, okay. But then when I got the Cruise boots, I'm talking in 23, the white with the blue and the gold pair, I was like, I put them on. I was like, they're not worth the price. They're not a bad boot, but they're definitely not worth the price.
Exactly.
And it just seems like a lower quality than what they could have made.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's why I applauded them when. Okay, I need to kind of get this out too, because I see this in comments like on tons of people's videos, on Noah's, on J Mike's, on James's. Just because it's calfskin, that does not mean it is a lesser leather. Okay. The only reason everybody puts so much emphasis on K leather is because that's what the big brands told us was the best. It doesn't mean it actually was. That's just what they were using, okay? So, like, I need to get that out of the way because I have calfskin remakes, and I promise you, once you wear them, everything, you cannot tell. You know what I mean? You can't, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. Honestly.
You talking about your Precision ones or those calfskin?
Yeah, okay. The Precision Pluses. Okay, so that's what I was going to say. So I have those. Now, I loved when they did the Precision Plus because they were like, hey, we don't have kangaroo leather, so instead of charging $350, I think they charged $280. So they realized that there was in their opinion, a reduction in quality, so the price reflected that. That's how I feel like these Made in Germany should have been. Because A, they're not even really made in Germany, and B, you continue to use like a decrease, like a less, in your opinion, a less quality material. So if these ones would have came out, I would say base price $250, or preferably like $225. I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's great. That's totally fine. I get why the old Japan Blues were $300, $350. I get that. But these being the same price, I just think it's scummy. I think it's a cash grab. I think it's preying on people who have FOMO for missing out on other remakes. And unfortunately, the issue that we're going to run into, and myself too, because I do want these. I actually want to play in mine. But they're all going to get bought up, and you vote with your wallet. And so these big brands are going to say, look at that. We sold all these remakes. This is what people want. This is what we can get away with. And they'll continue to do that.
Yeah, dude. And the even worst part about it is that these are more limited and they are going to get bought out by resellers. And so people are going to pay even higher than what the retail price is to get something of a lower quality. So it just, I'm hoping that this trend doesn't continue. But people, like you said, they have to vote with their wallet. That's the only way to create change in the market is to vote with your wallet. Unfortunately for people like us, like you obviously like want to try everything. And so we're going to land, on a rake, step on a rake. Yeah. So, it is what it is. But for the the whole, like you
the
have
consensus,
to, for the consensus, like you have to create change.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why. I think that whenever the for example, whenever the Superfly 4 and the Magista Obra 1 came out, do you remember how like every colorway was always sold out? And those were the most expensive boots. I think they were, what were they? 275, 300 at the time. So like nothing else was selling like that. But then if we go back to when they had like the Superfly 3 and all those Elite series, those boots were $400. Nobody bought them. So that's why Nike stopped making them for a while. So it's like we have to get to moments like that with some of the remakes, some of the even like, you know, as much as I love the Predator FTs, like when we get to these crazy where we're buying every colorway at $280, that's fine. But it's like the same thing with resellers. If you're paying a reseller $350, $380 for a pair of Predator FTs, you're just telling them they can get away with it. Same thing with these big brands. If we're willing to pay, you know, $300, $350 for these Pred remakes that are I would say subpar compared to what we've gotten, we're just enabling these brands to continue that trend.
Yeah, that's a really good point you brought up, to where when Nike was trying to do like the $400, what do they call it, like Elite, and they had the carbon fiber on them, and it was just it's an insurmountable price that you like could not reach. And I think that's exactly like, and this isn't just like this market, because I know in the gaming market, like PlayStation tried to do it with their PlayStation 3. They made it like $600 back in 2006, and everybody was like, "Whoa!" Like I don't care what this thing plays. Like I'm not paying that price. And so I think once we go above like 350, maybe people will kind of chill out. But I'm not sure what that like ceiling is for people to be like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not paying. I don't care if it's a remake. I don't care if it's a remake of like my favorite boot when I was a kid. I'm not paying that price.
Yeah, and again, that's the hard part, because it's like I know a ton of people bought these with the sole intention of reselling them, and if that's your hustle, whatever, you know, that we're not going to change that. But I know a lot of people that bought these with the intention to wear them. They saw the quality especially from J Mike's video, and they're like, never mind. I'm like, that's a bummer, because like you could get Pred Manias back in the day for like $125, $150. You know what I mean? And now we're paying, more than double that for something like, again, that would have probably been equivalent to like a first takedown back then.
Right. Yeah, and so, and like I still don't know a ton about this brand, so I'm not going to pretend like I do, but I know that their prices are coming in a lot more reasonably, and the quality of their boots seem to be really high, and that's Sokito, right? So if Adidas and Nike keep essentially like fumbling on like the quality of their boots, and I'm not talking about all of Adidas, like obviously like the Preds and the F50s are pretty good quality, but people are going to start looking elsewhere. Like they're going to start looking at New Balance. They're going to start looking at Sokito. If Puma comes out with like a pretty decent Future, which we can get into in a minute, then people are going to, you know, go where it's just more cost effective.
Yeah, exactly.
And where the quality matches cost.
Exactly. And that's like the way that I kind of look at it is like, excuse me, like if you want the best, like right now, if you want the best leather boot on the market, you don't go with any of the big three.
Right.
You know, arguably, some people like Andrew and Noah would say if you want the best knit boot all over, you probably might go with the Under Armour Shadow 2 instead of the Nike, you know, GX or whatever. And then if you want the best synthetic, like speed boot, if you want the best speed boot, I'd argue you'd probably go with Sokito, because this is the 2014 F50, which everybody claims that they want. You know what I mean? So it's just like, the big brands are doing some things right, but they're also fumbling like a lot. And I think people are starting to get tired of it. People are getting fatigued on it. And I think people are just getting to the point where it's kind of like it's like I feel like boots are getting to the same point where how we are with jerseys, where it's like, I don't need 3 new jerseys every season. Right. Like, let's go back to like the 90s where it was like every other season. I think it's cool, like I said, but like, excuse me. But like, yeah, they're just, it's like you're pumping out too much. People can't keep up. The people that are like, who was it that said in the group chat, if you bought all colorways of the high-end boots from the big brands this year, you just spent like this year alone, 2024, you spent like $35,000 already.
That's wild. I believe it because like essentially that's just tons of boots that you're paying. Let's say like the number's like 300, like around 300 for as many colorways. Like, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, you're paying $250 on the low end, we'll say 200. On the high end, you're paying like 300. But but think about 280. Like if you got everything at cost. I mean, if you got the three
everything at cost is around 280 about.
Yeah, if you got the 3 Pred remakes right now, the Pred Mania remakes, you're already at $900.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if you got them like at retail, boom, no shipping, none of that shit. We're just gonna say the standard price. You're already at $1,000 almost.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And what's weird too is like it is a lot of FOMO. And back in the day, and I was just listening to the Football Boot Hour, so go check them out if you already haven't. And they were talking about the Mania, and how it had like 6 colorways in its lifespan.
It's like 6 or 7.
Yeah, and I remember too, like back in the day, like the Tiempo, like in 05 and 06, like you had the black ones, like you had like black, white, black, gold, and then you had white, red, white, blue, and then the Ronaldinho colorways. And like you didn't feel like when I was playing, like I didn't feel like, oh shit, I've got like the old colorway. You know what I mean? Like it was fine. Like it was fine for years. Yeah. And you didn't have the perception of like, oh, this is old, I have to upgrade. Like you didn't have that for a couple of years. So
yeah, exactly. And that's where I think Nike, that's kind of like the one I'm like, okay, I like that you're doing that, is most of their boots tend to last 2 years. So I'm like, okay, at least you give like some time, you let it settle a little bit. But yeah, I'm just like looking at like you said, the Mania was around for 2 years. Let's say 7 color. We'll say 6 just to make it an easier number. But that's like one every 3 months? Something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe even less than that. Maybe it's like 4 months. But yeah, I think the brands got to like start bumping up quality and slow down like releases, because it's like just getting insane.
Yeah, I agree, man. Speaking though of a new release that we'll probably see this year, Jorginho was out training in a blackout next gen Puma Future colorway.
About time.
I know, it's about time. It looks pretty good. The upper, it seems like it's like the same kind of lacing system where they're really spread out. And obviously it's like a knit boot. Future boots are typically like pretty locked in. The material though, it's hard to distinguish like what it's gonna be. They actually killed it the last Future I had that was 2 generations ago with the little like zigzag on the side. So and it looks like they went back to half conicals, which I'm very excited for.
I was gonna say, honestly, the Future's biggest thing it needed to switch was the Soleplate. So if they just changed the Soleplate, they're already killing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's why I'll give them like massive, like, oh yeah, you listening, because that Soleplate is probably one of the most aggressive on the market for a boot that's not an aggressive boot.
Right, exactly. And it should be more. It's the Future's not necessarily. It's supposed to be more of a control boot, right? That's the category it's in. So like, I'm cool with traction. I'm cool with like some like half conical or even like some stud patterns that like where you can kind of get away with being aggressive, but like not as aggressive as that. Like that was too much in my opinion.
And that's why I say like even I like some speed boots like the Vapor 8 and Vapor 9. I think that those sole plates are like so overkill. You know what I mean? It's like pinnacle speed boot. But imagine if you took like the sole plate from a Vapor 8 or Vapor 9 and you threw it on a Copa Pure 2 Plus. That's kind of where the Future is, where it's like this just like you have one idea on the top, you got a separate idea on the bottom, and they're just not meshing. So again, if Puma is listening to anyone, which with the King they're not, but if they're listening to anyone on the Future, the main thing they need to just change was move that stupid power tape. Honestly, let's drop that technology.
I think
terrible.
They might have dropped it. I don't even see it. I mean, it's blackout.
It's blackout. It's a terrible technology. But I think that with Puma, they need to go back to before the Z, and I think they need to go back to that whole net fit.
Yeah.
Like the early net fit models that they were doing, and I think that they would be killing it a lot more.
I think so. And those had a really cool look to them. And actually, Antoine Griezmann was training in those. I think I saw him in 2 different pairs last week, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the old net fits were dope.
Yeah, the old net fits, Adam Lallana just kept playing in those too. Like he didn't upgrade to like the newer Futures. He just kept the same, which is kind of cool when players do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And
then
man,
we saw well, before we go, we saw a picture of the updated next gen Copa Soleplate. You have a hard on for this boot, so what are your thoughts? Like looking at that Soleplate.
I think, I mean, half conicals aren't bad. Okay, so I like the torsion frame sole plate, and then I don't like the torsion frame sole plate because I don't mind the half conicals, and it's obviously like the old Nemesis sole plate. It's a very, very stiff sole plate, so your feet aren't going to have to work as hard in that boot, and I really like that. I just feel like any upper that's placed on it seems to be a bit on the narrow side. Like, even if it's a boot like the Cruise boot where like it's, you know, all leather, like you're still gonna feel, it just feels a little weird. Like, it feels, if you put a boot on and it feels like too long, you have a thin foot, so you probably haven't felt this, but sometimes I'll put boots on and it just feels like it's, even though my toes at the end, it just feels long. Like, it almost just feels like it needs a little bit more girth to it. So if they've kind of done a sort of like next gen torsion frame but widened it out a little bit, like, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I don't experience it, but I've seen it just from like Noah talking about, because, you know, his foot's so wide like yours. But where he talks about where you're like spilling over, like the sole plate's here and your foot is so wide it's kind of pushing down. And based on the way you've talked about the torsion frame, I feel like that's the issue. Your foot is just kind of like, you don't have enough walking room, so you're like walking on a plank.
Right. Yeah. You know what's weird is like they kept using that torsion frame sole plate for everything, like the last two Copa generations, and they threw it on the Cruise boots, and they threw it on the Icon, and they have like a great sole plate already on the F50. Like, if they had put this sole plate on the bottom of the new Copa, I wouldn't have been mad. I would have been like, okay, great, I love that sole plate.
Oh yeah. No, that's where I think they did it right. Like in 2012, 13, 14 era, was they basically just put everything on the F50 sole plate. And it may be like, oh, this one has an extra stiffener bar, or this one has an extra piece, but it was the 2014 Adidas. And go back to that.
You know what's weird about this sole plate is when J Mike did his top 5 speed boots, is he actually placed the Messies in the number 5 category, because he said like this sole plate was it wasn't necessarily a speed, because we've heard so much about that, and this sole plate not being like a true speed boot sole plate. So I thought that was kind of funny. He like downgraded it to 5 because of that.
I thought it was crazy too. He didn't even mention the Plus and the Plus's sole plate.
Yeah, the Plus hasn't really been talked about too much.
It's been super under the radar. I think it being laceless is it's people are just like, you're either a laceless person or you're not.
Right.
And that's not going to change. So it's like, you know, J Mike's not a laceless person. I tend to be, but with that boot, I was not.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm mentally blocking this out, but I feel like the Plus has kind of, like, we've kind of stopped talking about it. We've also kind of stopped talking about, like, the women's high knit. So it's kind of funny because we were like, oh, what is Adidas going to do with 4 different top-end models? And they've kind of just faded out the other 2. So it's really like they have 2 top-end models.
Yeah, and even with the laceless one, nobody really talks about it. Everybody right now really is just talking about the regular laced and the messy laced.
Right. Yeah. And those are the best 2 versions.
Pretty much it.
Right.
Yeah. Clearly. But I will say, somebody sent in the group chat the upcoming red colorway of the Plus, where it has like the black toe box and the black sole plate. Oh man, that looks fire. Yeah, that looks so good.
Looks good, man. But you tried it, and
I did.
You gave it away. You traded. You traded for Japan's.
I got the Japan's.
So it's in the nice hands of our friends Andrew Footloose boots. If I'm not mistaken.
I think also did not like them.
Somebody out there has to like them, and they had to be designed and made for somebody. But I haven't seen any players wearing them either.
I think only Sun wears them.
Oh, Heung-min Son wears them.
Yeah, I think. Don't quote me.
Yeah. No. Yeah. He likes his laceless boots. So
yeah, he's a laceless boot. But, that's all I have to talk about this week, Colby. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, man. I'm very excited for the next podcast because I have a boot coming in tomorrow that I never thought I would get again. I never thought I would get new again. So
okay, I just want you guys to take in for a minute his excitement and how he's talking and the looks on his face, because it took me almost 3 days of convincing to get him to get this boot. Just remember this moment next week, because I'm going to bring it back up. But it literally took me and his wife like 3 days to convince.
It was a price. It's hard to pay. It's hard to pay a 2024 price. It's hard to pay on a 2019 boot. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Hopefully they'll be here next week and you can show them off then.
I'm excited.
Cool.
All right, guys.
Well, Colby, before we leave, you need to tell the people where they can find you, man.
You guys can find me at Kicking with Colbs on YouTube and on Instagram.
You can find me at Texas Cleat Collector on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And you can find us at bootcastpod on Instagram. And as usual, smash the like button. Excuse me. Leave a comment. If there's anything you want to talk about, let us know how we did. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I mean, at this point, I feel like the same people are watching, and we love you guys, and we respect
love you guys.
it. We try
really
to answer
do.
every comment because we love you guys. And with that, we will say good night. See you next week.
Good night, guys.